In my last video, I've discussed my script writing process, and today in this video, I'll talk about the technical aspects of my latest psychological thriller short film Paranoia. So this is a continuation of that video, and if you haven't watched that video or the short film yet, then definitely watch those first and then watch this video. Otherwise, you may not get the context and I'll also spoil the film for you. Hello guys, my name is Shubhadeep Mondal. I'm a filmmaker and an equally passionate guitarist. On this channel, I upload short films, music videos, photo and video editing tutorials, as well as detailed guitar tutorials. So if you are new here and are interested in any of these topics, then please consider subscribing by clicking on the big red subscribe button down there, and also click the bell icon next to it to turn on notifications so that you don't miss any updates whenever I upload a new video. So let's first talk about the cinematography of this short film. I shot the film in 2017 with my elder brother's Canon 5D Mark III full-frame DSLR camera in 1080p Full HD at 24 frames per second for most of the part. I used my good old Canon 600D as a second camera. In the edit, you can't tell the difference, which proves that you don't need fancy cameras to tell a story. I've also used my friend Ogniv Chakraborty's Nikon D750 for the climax sequence and shot that in 1080p at 60 frames per second to get the slow motion. Ogniv actually played the character of Mr. Mukherjee and also acted as an executive producer of the short film. I used Technicolor Cinestyle picture profile for Canon cameras, and for the D750, I opted for the built-in flat picture profile. The flat picture profiles give less contrasty shots, which is good for color grading. These also increase the dynamic range of the cameras, which is also helpful in the color grading process. The lenses are mainly the Canon 24-105mm f4 L series and the Canon 50mm f1.8 prime, and also the Sigma 35mm f1.4 art series for the Canon cameras, and the Nikkor 85mm f1.8 prime with the D750 for the climax sequence. As I have discussed in my last video that I was so much impressed by all the modern horror movies I was watching at that time and all the smooth camera movements all these horror films have, I wanted to try those smooth camera moves on a short film, and my original intention was to make a psychological horror short film instead. So I purchased a few gears on Amazon by Fly Films to use those equipment during the production of the short film. I bought a slider, a shoulder rig, and the flyby gimbal, which is a total waste of money. But I was really impressed by the slider and the spider shoulder rig. These are very inexpensive gears that you can buy for your production and get decent enough results. Although I believe the spider rig has been discontinued and you can go for another shoulder rig with a built-in matte box on it. I think these products offer great price to value ratio. I'll link to all these products in the video description below. If you're interested in buying any of these products, you may check out the links in the video description below. Check out these following shots, all of which are shot with the Flyfilm slider.
I'm afraid for quite some time now.
Climax of the story was really heart-wrenching. On our way back home one day, the guy came from the other side and threw acid on her face. In a split second, with her face, rest of her life got completely destroyed.
You can see the shots are decent enough for such an inexpensive slider. These next shots are taken with the shoulder rig, and I've used the 24-105mm lens, which has an optical image stabilization built in.
You know, I'm a bookworm. I love horror books. At that time, I was reading a crime thriller by this new author, which was really disturbing.
I'm pretty happy with the results. Check out these shots taken with the shoulder rig but with the 50mm prime lens, which does not have any optical image stabilization.
He became a threat to the person once he loved the most. It started with a miserable stalking. Eventually crossing all limits, he came to our house and knocked the door.
This is the raw footage, and if you use a little bit of warp stabilizer in post, you can get pretty good results. Now let's see these next shots taken with the flyby gimbal. None of these shots are used in the short film. I really think this gimbal is a total waste of money. The shots have a wavy and bouncy feel to them and are really unusable. I highly recommend that you stay away from such gimbals. If you really want to buy a gimbal, then you should go for the motorized ones like the Zhiyun Crane or the DJI Roniness. Now, I want you to look at this particular shot from the climax. I'm really sorry that I can't show you the raw footage, as I have accidentally deleted all the raw footage of this climax sequence from all of my storage devices. So I have had my lesson, which is whenever you are going to delete your footages from one of your storage devices to free up space, never assume that your footages are safe on some other device. Always make sure to cross-check before taking such steps. Anyway, this clip was shot handheld in 60 frames per second. In post, I've slowed down the footage and also applied the warp stabilizer to make it seem like a lockdown tripod shot. I've also added some keyframes to animate the zoom. This gives a subtle movement to the shot. I think all of these techniques help to get a decent enough result which I'm pretty much satisfied with. Now if I talk about the chronological order of our shooting process, I shot all the B-rolls for the narration part first. Then we shot the Wi-Fi password scene where the character of Oyon comes to give the Wi-Fi password to Rhea. After that we shot the death threat sequence on the same day. All these shots were taken with the fly film shoulder rig in our house. You can see how I lit this scene. I pointed a can light with a yellow gel paper on it from this side, which acted as a backlight and was motivated by this window. I bounced another light from a reflector on her shadow side to fill up the shadows on her face. The book she was reading is actually Making Movies by Sidney Lumet, which was gifted to me by Oyon, who played the character of Deep in the film and had also worked as the creative director of the short film. It's a great book, and if you're interested, then I'll leave a buying link in the video description below which you can check. Rhea did all her makeup herself, and she also did the makeup of Devi as well. She is really talented and has done a great job on this aspect. I had pushed Rhea and Devi to their extreme. I had done multiple reshoots for both the interrogation scene and the climax, and they had never complained even a single time. I'm really proud of them and was so fortunate to get their support. You need such people to make a successful film. All this behind the scenes footage were taken by Shravan Rai, who also did the production design of the film, which I'll talk about in detail in a moment. I'll leave all of their Instagram links in the video description below. Do make sure to give them a follow, and you can find me on Instagram at shubhadeep.flixcanvas. The horses you see on this scene are given by Priyadarshini, who played the character of the psychiatrist. The jewelries she is wearing are from Seriously, which is her handcrafted designer jewelry brand, which are also available on Amazon to buy. So if you're interested in buying those, you may check out the video description for links as well. And also, she even did her own makeup, which is absolutely amazing. The MacBook was given to me by my friend Navanil Bhattacharya, which is his personal laptop. He did the sound design of the short film and also was an executive producer for the short film. And as I have already told you, the main camera was provided by my elder brother, Shudip Mondal, and for the climax scene, I used Ogniv's camera. Both of them were executive producers. So you can see, all of them have really helped me make this film. Most of them have worn multiple shoes during the making of this short film, and without their help and support, I couldn't have made Paranoia. So I'm really thankful to all of them from the deepest core of my heart. Now moving on, as I've already said that most of the short film is shot in our house. If I talk about the psychiatrist chamber, then this angle of Priyadarshini is shot in a different room, and this shot of Ogniv is shot in another. You can tell that by looking at this wall. If it was in the same room, then this wall should have been visible in this angle as well, right? In low-budget independent filmmaking, you always have to rely on such tricks to cheat the geography of the location. The only problem is, you can't show them in a single frame as a two-shot. The same thing applies for this interrogation scene as well. This scene is also shot in our house, but due to the lack of space, we were able to hang the black curtain in this angle only, and we shot the scenes for both Rhea and Devi separately. We turned the lights around in a way so that it matches the perspective from both sides and should look like as if both were sitting in front of each other, whereas in reality it wasn't the case. We relied on a detailed shot list and wrote down the lens choices and the camera moves for each dialogue of Rhea, so that while shooting the corresponding dialogues of Devi later on, we can match the lens and the camera moves as well. Here, Oyon worked as a script supervisor during the shooting of this scene and maintained the shot list. He made sure we took all the shots we need, which is called the coverage, and also he wrote down the lens and the camera moves for each shot as we kept on moving forward, and without his help, it could have been a total mess. But I think we have been successful in making the whole scene work out as I intended. So while working in a low budget scenario, you definitely need a good script supervisor. Now, speaking of low budget, we also did something smart, which I think came out pretty well. All these photo frames that you can see in this sequence are fake. Shravan created all these frames in Photoshop and then printed out, and he pasted these on the walls with double-sided tapes. When in distance and blurry, this looked pretty convincing. The only time the illusion breaks when you get these light reflections. But it's been more than a year since the release of the short film, and still nobody has brought this topic for once. So I believe you can easily get away with this technique. So that's a great tip for all the low budget filmmakers out there. For the lighting, I went for this unrealistic but cinematic look for the whole film. As I said earlier, I wanted to try some cinematography techniques that I learned, so that is the only reason I went for this unrealistic look. I totally embraced it. You'll never see this kind of soft side light in interrogation scenes, but who cares? It looked good to me, and only that matters. For this psychiatrist scene, I wanted to have a trippy look, and that's why I went for this red and blue contrasting color for Ogniv's side, but for Priyadarshini's side, I kept the beauty lighting with a hint of red. All these shots were taken with the CineStyle picture profile, and if I show you the raw footage, then you can see it came out like this, straight out of the camera. And after color grading, we get this. For most of the shots, I went for the side light to create the drama. Check out the lighting breakdown for these following shots. Now let's briefly talk about the surreal shots. You can see here I have done match cuts on each of the blinks. Here also I did a match cut with her movement. And for this scene, it was inspired by the style of Brandon Belfell. He is well known for using fairy lights in his photoshoots, and his images have this color tone. Although his recent style has evolved quite a bit, but I wanted to mimic his style in video with this particular shot. You can see this is the raw footage, and this is the color graded one. And this shot was meant to be in the night, and I did a day to night conversion in color grading. This was the original raw footage, and this is the color graded one. This is supposed to be moonlit. I use DaVinci Resolve for all my color grading works, and soon you can expect detailed DaVinci Resolve tutorials on this channel, and that too in Hindi. So if you're interested in those videos, then definitely subscribe to my channel right now. And if you want to join my video editing course, then go to flixcanvas.com/education for more details on that. We have dubbed the whole film for clean audio. This process is called ADR, or automated dialogue replacement, but this is not a preferred way of dealing with audio in film. You should definitely go for on-set sync sound whenever possible, but due to the lack of resources, ADR was the best option for us. I'm never a fan of this technique, but I may still have to rely on this in my future low-budget projects as well. But that's a part of all the compromises you must have to make in order to make films in limited resources. I'll make more detailed videos on the audio aspect of filmmaking in the future. And finally, I myself composed the music for this short film. I programmed the entire background score myself on Apple Logic Pro 10 and used Logic's built-in plugins only. And obviously, I'll definitely try to make separate videos on music composition for films as well. So I think we have managed to make a decent enough short film with very limited resources, and with the help of some amazing friends and their hard work. We have tried our best to squeeze out the maximum from whatever the little amount of resources we had. And I'm always open to sharing my experience and knowledge that I gather from doing all these mistakes on set, so that we can grow together as filmmakers. So that's it for today, guys. I hope this video has been helpful to some. See you in the next video.